Thank you, Mr. President. It is indeed Bitcoin all-time high day today. If you look at Bitcoin, you can see we are well into all-time highs. We're now at 111,382, and we're very, very, very much in price discovery, which pretty much means that it could be straight up from here. But I'm going to show you exactly what the map actually looks like and where there could be some hurdles and some resistances based on this price discovery that we're currently going into. Also today, I want to talk about the elephant in the room, because I know that this morning when I woke up and I saw the Bitcoin all-time highs, this was pretty much me, right? And for those of you who can't see it because it's on your phone, it says Bitcoin when Bitcoin hits 111,000. But you remember that you're holding 100% altcoins, and this was literally me this morning when I woke up in the morning. I saw the Bitcoin all-time high, and then I saw the altcoin prices. So I think today we should talk about when these altcoins are actually going to follow Bitcoin. We got a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful green day today, but we're nowhere near where we should be for an alt season or for when alts actually start outperforming Bitcoin. And I think the big question is, when will this Bitcoin dominance actually break? And I want to show you just how soon I think this Bitcoin dominance is actually going to break, and when we can expect the altcoins to actually follow Bitcoin. So really, we're going to talk about the all-time high and how high it's going to go. And then we're going to talk about when the alt season is actually going to follow. And I think we also will touch on the CETUS hack that is basically in progress right now. There's a big exchange on 𝗬cie called CETUS, the biggest exchange on 𝗬cie, which is currently being hacked. And so we're going to talk about exactly what's going on there. So if that sounds good to you, what I need you to do is obliterate the like button. Go crazy, crazy, crazy on this all-time high day. And let's get the show on the road, guys. Happy all-time high day. If you are celebrating, happy all-time high day. As I said before, we are at all-time high, and I think this all-time high is going to take us a lot higher, a lot higher. It's also, not only is it all-time high day, it's also Bitcoin Pizza Day. It's Bitcoin Pizza Day today. For those of you who don't know what Bitcoin Pizza Day actually is, it is the day that this guy's name is 𝗙𝗨𝗡𝗏𝗪 paid 10,000 Bitcoin for 2 Papa John's pizzas. So in order to celebrate that, Bitcoiners every day, every year on the 22nd of May, we celebrate Bitcoin Pizza Day. So while you guys are watching 𝗙𝗨𝗡𝗏𝗪, I have organized an amazing pizza to celebrate Bitcoin Pizza Day. If anyone can guess what's on this pizza, you win a pizza. Can you guess what's on this pizza? Josh? Pineapple and banana, bro. So not pineapple, avo and banana. Do you want one? Avo and banana. See, everyone loves the avo and banana pizza now.
Just posted on the forum. I said, if anybody's interested, I'm offering 10,000 Bitcoins in exchange for some pizza. And somebody there said, hey, I'll take you up on that offer. So I sent him the 10,000 Bitcoin. I said, okay, here it is. I'm waiting for my pizza. And, he phoned it in, he paid with his credit card, and the pizza showed up at my door. Just posted on the forum. I said,
so he paid $1.1 billion for 2 pizzas, and he didn't even have banana and avo on his pizza, right? So he paid $1.1 billion. If you take that in today's price, I paid for this pizza with with avo and banana. I paid $5. I'm creating a bit less than $5 for that pizza. Anyway, as soon as I'm finished chewing my pizza, we can get the show on the road. We can get the alpha started. So what I need you guys to do is obliterate the like button. I see that the pizza is amazing. It's absolutely amazing. If anybody wants, I've got some pizza in my office. You're welcome to come and get some. It's we got 𝗙𝗏𝗪. If you want a banana and avo pizza, it's absolutely delicious. All right, let's get the show on the road, guys. I need you guys to again obliterate the like button. I've got a lot to talk about. As I mentioned, we will talk about CETUS. We will talk about when the altcoin season is actually going to start, and we will also talk about exactly where this all-time high is going to go, because we are actually in all-time high territory. So we are here. Oh, by the way, it's not only Pizza Day and all-time high day. It's actually also Golden Cross Day. So we are in Golden Cross territory now. You can see today the Golden Cross actually happened on Bitcoin. Now, in general, the Golden Cross actually is a very bullish thing. So you can see that it is actually a very bullish thing. You can see over here, Golden Cross took us up And you can see where what happened over there. We can go back to the one before, which is this one over here. And again, we went up. So the golden cross is a very bullish thing for Bitcoin. But I must warn you guys that every time that we do, not every time, but most times when we have a golden cross, we'll usually rally into the golden cross, which is exactly what happened over here. And then we dipped. And in this case, we actually dipped about 10%. So you can see here, we actually dipped about 10% before we actually went up. And actually, if you go back to this one over here, you can see we went up to golden cross and we went slightly down. And so watch out just in case we get one of these golden cross little dips. But ultimately, I maintain my thesis that we're actually going higher and we're actually going to go much, much, much higher. And I'll show you exactly why I think we're actually going to go much higher. So we are now in price discovery. We've breached any kind of all-time highs, whether it's on the candle, whether it's on the wick. We've breached any type of all-time highs. And there's really not much resistance when it comes to that because there's no buying levels, there's no technical levels. If you want to be really finicky, if you're one of those people that's like really, really, really looking for the reasons why Bitcoin can go down from here, there's really three reasons why Bitcoin can go down from here. The first reason is because of the golden cross. So you've got the golden cross over here, and generally after a golden cross, you could get a 10% correction. In this case, that would take us to just over 100 grand on Bitcoin. The second reason is if you take this, Josh, you still call it a trend line if it's at the top. It's a resistance line. What do you call it now if the line is at the top like this? It's a resistance trend. You see now there's this resistance trend, which if you take the all-time high from 2017, you take the all-time high from 2021, and you go to, you kind of say, okay, there's like this resistance trend here at 114,000. So if you want to be really finicky, if we break this 114,000, then it really is blue sky, and we go up there. If not, then we may come slightly down. I want to talk a little bit about this all-time high because this all-time high is very, very different from any other all-time high that I've ever experienced. I mean, I've been here for a while. I've seen all-time highs on Bitcoin since 2017. And this all-time high just feels absolutely, absolutely different. If there was one word that I would use to describe this all-time high, I'd probably call it a disbelief rally. And that's because we're in all-time high territory. But nothing feels and nothing looks like we're in all-time high. When I say nothing feels and nothing looks like we're in all-time high, if I look at the fear and greed, usually when we get to all-time highs, the fear and greed is at extreme greed, and we're at a period of extreme exuberance. There's no fear and greed. There's no exuberance. We haven't even got into extreme greed yet. We're only in greed, and we're not even high up into the thing. And we're at an all-time high. If I look at the funding rates, I mean, just look at these annual funding rates. These are not funding rates. Base rate. Funding rates are not even elevated at all. I've actually never seen an all-time high even close when funding rates are this low. I've never, ever seen something like this. So the fear and greed are at lows. The funding rates, which is the exuberance measure, is at lows. As Ben Khan says, the social indicators. Now, the social indicator basically takes the total social risk, the YouTube views, the Twitter views, the total social metric risk is not only that it's not at all-time highs, but it's actually that it's at all-time lows, which means that we are at all-time highs with the lowest awareness and the lowest social exuberance on Bitcoin. So unlike all the other all-time highs that I've experienced, and you can kind of see that on the charts over here. Generally, when we have all-time highs, everybody's in it, everybody's coming, retail's coming in, there's high views on Twitter, on YouTube, and whatever else. This all-time high is different. This all-time high, nothing's here. Like, there's nothing going on here, which is, I've never seen this before. And you can see it when you look at the app rankings. I took a look at the app rankings. In the previous all-time highs, I just want to show you something. The Coinbase app was ranked number 86, number 15, number 23. It's ranked at 307. That's like, it's nowhere. And it was 400 this morning, with the first time that I looked. And so you've got the all-time high, but it's like none of the metrics feel like we're at all-time high. Like when you talk about exchange volume and you say, let's look at, you can see when the all-time highs are happening because there's a lot of exuberance and there's a lot of people getting into the market. As Artemis says, it's really weird this time. There's no laser eyes. And so the question is whether this is a good thing or a bad thing. And I mean, this is when you talk about historical risk levels on Bitcoin, when it gets to red, you're at historical risk. We're in yellow and we're at all-time highs. It's extremely unusual. It's exceptionally unusual. And I want to talk about whether that's a good thing or a bad thing. It's a great thing. It's not a good thing. It's a great thing. And the reason is you got to think about it like fuel in a tank, or you got to think about it like a spring that is coiled up. And only now, when the all-time highs get broken, is the attention going to... Like tonight, when you watch CNBC, what you'll see is they're going to talk about the Bitcoin all-time high, because that's all they're going to talk about. And that will start bringing in the retail investors. And so this is, I would say, the craziest and the healthiest all-time high that I've ever seen. It almost makes me feel a little bit uncomfortable that I'm like, I know what it took to get to all the previous all-time highs. I know how many retail people were here. I know how much excitement there was. And now I look at the all-time high. There's no excitement. There's no people. No one's downloading the cat. What's going to happen when everyone starts coming back and realizing that we're getting into all-time high territories? I think it's going to be an absolute explosion. And I think if I were to put my head on the block, and I hate making targets, but I think this pump could easily take us up to 140. And if you want to ask me, like, why? It's so simple. I look at this chart and I say, just look at the pump that we had from this pattern over here, this breakdown pattern over here. We went up from, let's just take an average level here. So we'll take it from about there. We went up from 65,000 all the way to 108,000 on that pump. That's like a 65% pump. I see no reason why we shouldn't repeat something like that, especially since everything is so coiled at the moment. It's the craziest thing I've ever seen. And as I said, it almost makes me feel a little bit uncomfortable. But I feel like what they say, comfortably uncomfortable. I'm comfortably uncomfortable. Actually, I'm very excited, as you can hear. I'm trying to keep my excitement in. Okay, so that is where we're at as it relates to all-time high. Now, let's talk about why we're at the all-time high. That's not as pretty a picture. So remember that we spoke about the Japanese 40-year treasury yield, and we spoke about how they had this auction and no one bought the treasury yield, and so the Japanese interest rates actually started to go parabolic. Now, for those of you who missed class yesterday, we broke down why Bitcoin was going into an all-time high. And the reason for that was because the credit markets are absolutely melting. So first of all, the USA was downgraded. Remember last week or last Friday when Moody's downgraded the United States? Well, when that happened, that put a lot of eyes onto the credit market. And people started to realize that, hold on a second, there may be a really good chance that these countries actually can't pay back their debt. And since then, we've witnessed a little bit of a collapse in the credit markets. Earlier on this week, Japan tried to raise money through these auctions. And what these auctions are is when the government needs money, and so it goes to the market and it auctions off T-bills or debt, in this case, 40-year debt. And nobody bought it. Nobody wanted it. And so they raised the rates until somebody actually went and bought it. In this case, I think still nobody bought it. Well, the same thing happened yesterday in the United States. So at first it was just Japan, but then this contagion seems to be spreading, and actually nobody wants credit anymore. Yesterday, the United States ran an auction on 20-year government bonds. So they do this pretty normally. So as 𝗙𝗍𝒄 says, in fact, I think I have a better one here. So yesterday, the United States conducted an auction of $16 billion of 20-year government bonds. So in other words, they wanted to sell $16 billion worth of 20-year government bonds. Now, typically these auctions happen with minimal impact. However, yesterday, in order to entice people to actually buy the $16 billion worth of US 20-year government debt, they had to raise the rates. Now, if you look at the 20-year rate chart over here, let me just get it first over here. So if you look at the 20-year rate chart over here, that is the spike yesterday. Now, it may look small in crypto, but this kind of candle in the credit market is absolutely petrifying. And so what's happening is right now there is a collapse of credit markets worldwide. Because the USA was downgraded and the rates on US debt went up, that sent a cascading effect into every single credit market in the world. It ricocheted, it cascaded to Australia, it cascaded to Germany, it cascaded to Japan. And then it came all the way back to the United States, because as all the bond rates drop and the rates start to go up to entice people to actually buy this, people realize more and more how these countries won't be able to repay their debt. And so now we're getting into a situation where worldwide, all these treasury bills are absolutely collapsing. And all the holders are pretty much looking at these debts and going, none of these countries are actually going to be able to pay. Like it's a fact. It's like playing a game of hot potato. Up until now, they've kind of like been holding and saying, look, yeah, the US will never default, Japan will never default. And then someone said, okay, but hold on a second. Now the USA has got a debt to GDP ratio of 220% by 2055. I think it's supposed to be 2025. And that just sounds absolutely crazy. And so this is a big problem. And Ray Dalio, who's probably one of the people that I really respect most in finance and stuff like that, just listen to what he says.
Watch the bond market. The bond market is the basis, it's the backbone of all markets. It is the risk-free, meaning default-free, probably default-free, interest rate that determines what all asset returns are going to be. And when there is a breakdown of the supply-demand picture for the bond market, you see a certain type of market action. You see long rates rising relative to short rates. You see the currency go down. You see gold go up because there's a movement out of that bond market because there's a supply and demand imbalance. When that happens, that raises interest rates. And it puts the Federal Reserve and other central banks in a bind. That supply-demand imbalance, in order to deal with that, when there's not enough demand, they're torn between allowing interest rates to rise and have the negative effect that that has on markets and the economy, or coming in and printing money, essentially, and buying bonds in order to provide the demand for those bonds that aren't there, and that produces inflationary pressures.
That's exactly what happened yesterday. So there were no buyers for the US Treasury bill, and so what the Fed quietly did was it bought $50 billion of its own debt. Imagine that. Imagine there were no buyers for US Treasuries. So what they did was actually print money and actually put more money in circulation by buying some of their debt. This is akin to quantitative easing, right? So we're in a quantitative tightening cycle. And now what the Fed is, or the Treasury is pretty much doing, is the Treasury is actually now buying its own debt in order to basically using your own money to buy your own debt. Imagine companies could use their own money to buy their own debt. Would you ever invest in a company like that? You'd never do it. No one in their right minds would do it. And so right now we're getting people exiting out of Treasuries. Now the big question is, when people exit Treasuries, now there's millions and millions, I think there's $11 trillion in US Treasuries alone. When people exit Treasuries, where are they going to put the money? And I'm really asking a very serious question. Generally, they're not going to put their money into risk assets, right? Because they're not really going to put their money into stock markets, because usually that means the collapse of a financial system or a massive collapse. They're not really going to put their money into stocks. So where are they going to put their money? I mean, I guess a lot of people have already started putting money into gold, but I mean, I don't think that they're just going to put it into gold. And that is why I think Bitcoin is absolutely having a field day at the moment, because people are realizing that gold is that this is actually happening. Gold is an overtraded trade, and a crowded trade at the moment. And so they're all actually plying into Bitcoin. And you're seeing before your eyes, you're seeing a massive shift. And I want to read you this tweet from 𝗙𝗘𝗧 from Multicoin. He says, we're watching Bitcoin transform from a risk-on asset to a risk-off asset. Today, we saw further proof that the government cannot cut the budget deficit. The market reacted by selling US treasuries, selling USD, selling equities, and buying Bitcoin. This transformation is not yet complete. It will take more days like this to convince the market that Bitcoin is a risk-off asset. Like most big changes, this will happen slowly, then suddenly. Those who are caught offsides when the sudden change happens will be on the losing end of the greatest wealth transfer in history. And I said this to you guys yesterday. It's all fine until it's not fine. Zimbabwe was fine until it was not fine. I watched it with my own eyes. Greece was fine until it was not fine. Argentina was fine until it was not fine. And when the not fine happens, it happens really quickly. Now, we could be at the beginning of it. But regardless whether or not we are at the beginning of the final collapse or just one of the little tremors before the big earthquake, You need to understand what's happening before your very eyes, because this is the moment that we've all been talking about. This is the moment when people realize that governments can't repay their debt. This is the moment where governments have two options, or where governments actually don't have an option. All they can do is print more money and devalue their currency. And if they do that to buy their own debt so that they can keep themselves going, they're getting into this perpetual cycle of devaluing their currency, which is a Zimbabwe or an Argentina or something like that. And that's exactly what's going on. So who's going to be the biggest beneficiaries of this? I think I worked out something that not many people are paying attention to now, but will be paying attention to later. So remember that I said to you guys that it is the fixed income people. It's people that can only invest in fixed income. So there's a lot of funds in the world. They're called money market funds or fixed income funds or whatever your preferred terminology is. But those money market or fixed income funds have a mandate. And their mandate is, listen, you can only invest in fixed income securities. You can only invest in debt. Okay, cool. What happens if you're a fund manager? You got billions and billions and billions of dollars under management, and you are watching the yields collapse and you're watching the credit markets collapse. What do? You can't go into cash, because if you go into cash, the currencies are also devaluing at the same time. But what do? You have a mandate, and your mandate says that you have to invest in fixed income securities. So what do? Either you go into cash, that's going to collapse, or you stay in the credit market, that's going to collapse. So what do? So there is actually a hack for these fund managers. And the hack for these fund managers, you can see, is happening already in Japan, right? So 𝗦𝗛𝗢𝗪, this is exactly what happened. And MicroStrategy, it's happening in MicroStrategy. What is it? Well, MicroStrategy has worked out a way to allow fixed income investors Bitcoin returns with no interest. So usually debt is usually interest paying asset, right? But in this case, 𝗙𝗪𝗪 has managed to engineer the financial system in such a way where he can go to these debt investors that are only mandated to invest in fixed income securities. And then he can say to them, guys, instead of investing in fixed income securities, which are going down, invest in this new fixed income security, which doesn't pay you any interest, but actually does give you exposure to Bitcoin. And that is exactly what 𝗙𝗪𝗪 is doing. And so I think the biggest beneficiaries of this are going to be the 𝗦𝗪plexes, the MicroStrategies. As soon as this happens, the credit investors are going to need to invest their money somewhere. And I think a big chunk of these people are going to put their money into things like MicroStrategy and 𝗦𝗪planèt and other engineered products where you're buying a fixed income security, but you're getting the upside of Bitcoin. I'm not sure that many people have seen that, and maybe they have, but certainly I haven't heard many people talking about it. So I just thought we'd talk about it here. So who are going to be the winners? Well, as I said to you yesterday, residential properties, always a good winner, because no matter what happens in the credit markets, property wins. But interest rates actually will go up, so that could be a problem. Fixed supply assets, gold, Bitcoin. And I mean, you can already see it in the gold charts here. And I want to show you something that I saw today, which I think is very, very cool. And you can actually try it for yourself if you want. I know a lot of you don't have exposure to gold. I want to actually show you. What you can do if you want to get exposure to gold and you only have crypto. So either you can go to Bybit and you can buy gold on Bybit, or there's this very cool place called 𝗙𝗪𝗪𝗡. And then so if you go to 𝗙𝗪𝗪𝗡, I'll just quickly show you what the homepage looks like. It's a way to use Bitcoin to actually buy a Bitcoin NFT or a Bitcoin ordinal, so to speak. And that Bitcoin ordinal actually represents an ounce of gold or a measure of gold. So for example, and it's a serial numbered ordinal, which actually represents a real bar of gold, which is actually stored on Swarm Market. So it's very, very, very cool. In order to do this, you have to download a wallet. So you have to download an ordinals wallet, so you can interact with this. I downloaded one called 𝗥𝗡𝘆. You can download whatever you want. But if you do that, you can effectively buy. So I'm not going to actually buy one now, but you can. So I can buy that. And I can actually buy a specific bar of gold. Like if I press buy now, okay, I've just bought one. Okay, I don't have enough funds to buy such a big amount. But anyway, you can see that you can actually buy a specific ounce of gold. Go and check it out. There's a link in the description. It's pretty cool if you want to buy some gold. Also, if you want to read a little bit more about the all-time high and how much higher we're going, there is a link below to our free newsletter, which, again, a free newsletter. Don't want anything from you guys. Sign up for free and you can get 5 trades at Daily Candle, or you can just get the show before the show, basically, and that comes in that. All right, let's talk. So that is the Bitcoin run. That is the credit markets. But I want to address the elephant in the room, which is the altcoins, because I know that, I know we're all happy about the Bitcoin all-time high, but let me know in the chat if you're more invested in alts or more invested in Bitcoin. And dare I ask, because I bet you that every single person here is much, much, much more invested in alts than they are in Bitcoin. And then the question that you're asking, if you're invested in alts, is, this is great. I love this. This is amazing. But when are alts going to actually start following the Bitcoin pattern, right? When are alts actually going to start making as much money as Bitcoin? Now, look, we've had a great day today on alts. Let's just look at some of the big alts today. So you got the memes running again, Fartcoin, SPX running, Hyperliquid at all-time highs, or just under all-time highs now. WorldCoin going up, pretty much all the coins are up. Just have a look at that. And Rune up, a whole lot of these coins actually running. But this is not an altcoin run. And when I say this is not an altcoin run, like, I know this is cool and stuff like that, but the real altcoin run happens when the Bitcoin dominance breaks. I want to just show you what a Bitcoin dominance breakdown actually looks like, because there's a lot of people here that are not, like, they've never seen this before. In 2017, the Bitcoin dominance broke from 95% all the way down to 35%. That's a 65% drop in Bitcoin dominance. Then in 2021, when we hit the alt season in 2021, the Bitcoin dominance dropped from 73% all the way down to 45%, more or less. And so the alt season basically happens when we get a massive breakdown in the Bitcoin dominance. And that hasn't really happened yet. And the reason why that hasn't happened is because if you look at the market cycle dynamics of this market cycle, it's been characterized by different buyers than the previous market cycles. In the previous market cycles, there were mainly crypto investors. We all bought Bitcoin. When Bitcoin had a run, we took our profits and we invested our profits in the altcoins. And that's basically how we started the alt season. But in this market, or in this new market cycle, the buyers are very different buyers. And so you've got the ETF buyers, which have been driving the cycle. Then you've got the MicroStrategies, the 21s, the 𝗦𝗛𝗢𝗪, which is another kind of institutional cycle. And no matter how much money they make in Bitcoin, they're only here for Bitcoin and they'll never, ever buy anything else. And so those buyers right now are the ones that are actually causing the Bitcoin market to go up. At some point, there will be a cohort of people which actually take money out of Bitcoin and actually land up buying altcoins. But I'm not expecting it to be anywhere near the magnitude of what happened in the last cycle. And the reason is because, as I said, in the last cycle, the market was very organic. It was the people that were buying Bitcoin. It was crypto holders. And they were buying Bitcoin. Then they were going to Ethereum if they were ever going to go down the risk curve. But in this cycle, that's not going to happen. That said, though, there is going to be a retail investor. And when the retail investor does come here, he's going to come here because he sees the Bitcoin run. But he's going to think to himself, look, Bitcoin's already trading at $111,000. I don't want to be in Bitcoin. I want to be in the smaller Bitcoins. I want to be in the ones that can still go from 0.01 cent to $111,000. And that's when they're going to start buying the altcoins. And then I do believe that we will get a breakdown of the Bitcoin dominance, right? So I do believe that it's actually going to come, but I don't believe that it's going to be anywhere as steep as the previous alt seasons. And the truth is that I actually think that this breakdown may have already started happening. So if you look at the Bitcoin dominance chart, everyone's asking when are the alts going to start running? And I think that the alts actually may have started running. And you can see it on the weekly time frame and on the daily time frame. So the Bitcoin dominance has been in an uptrend since January. And actually, you can kind of say there was a little uptrend before that. There was a step down. Then if you're a chartist, then you'll know that we were on this upward trend. And then we broke down. And then we're having a perfect retest of the Bitcoin dominance. Now, a perfect retest could take us up to here. So there could be a little bit more upside in Bitcoin dominance. But ultimately, if this pattern plays out, this is the perfect pattern to start a breakdown. Like you'd go down, retest perfectly, and then you'd actually start going down. So that's the one indicator that's actually kind of saying, look, we've broken down below the trend. We've broken down. We've gone up. And we've now retested, which is from a technical point of view, a perfect retest. And I just want to show you the previous times that Bitcoin got to all-time highs. This is where the Bitcoin dominance actually was. So right now we're at the cycle high in terms of Bitcoin dominance. So, and when the Bitcoin dominance does break down, obviously we get crazy runs. I showed you that. You can see it here when you compare Bitcoin dominance to total 2. You can see that you get like here when the Bitcoin dominance broke down in 2021, the total 2 went up 8x. It's absolutely insane what actually ends up happening. And so the opportunity for the altcoins is still very much there. And the reason why I said that is because if we look at the first time that we got into an all-time high, Bitcoin hit 72,000, Ethereum was at $4,000. Second time, Bitcoin hit $104,000, Ethereum was at $4,000. ETH is now at 2,659, and we're at a higher level on Bitcoin. Same thing with Sol. So the first time Bitcoin hit at 72,000, Sol was at 150. The second time it was at 223. And the third time it's at 178. So in this case, the altcoins are very much lagging. Just to make it a little bit simpler for you guys, what I did was, or not I did, I told the researchers to do it because I could never do this. I mean, I could, but then I couldn't order pizza. So I took the Bitcoin price, and I said, what percentage of the Bitcoin price was the ETH price? So the first time, ETH represented 5% of the Bitcoin price. The second time, it was 3.83, and the third time, it was 2.4%. And Solana as well. The first time, it was 0.21. The second time, it was 0.21. The third one, it was 0.16, which shows you from a coil point of view. Remember, we spoke about that coil. It shows you from a coil point of view that the market for altcoins is much more coiled. There are very few altcoins that are trading anywhere near their ratios with Bitcoin that they were trading the last time we broke all-time highs. And that's, I mean, you could see it as maybe you've been in the wrong trade. And to be honest, this morning I was like, I got to show you this tweet because I think you'd actually really like it. Well, I don't know, maybe you won't like it. So what I said is, hold on a second. I mean, by the way, this is a true story. This is exactly how many AirPods I've actually got. And then whenever I join a Zoom call, everyone asks me, why aren't your AirPods connected? Because my computer just doesn't know which AirPods to connect to. That's how many AirPods I've got lying on my desk today. Yes, those are all mine. And yes, I've got another 4 at home, which are charging, and I didn't bring them. So I said, if you were in Bitcoin today, your portfolio would be at an all-time high. Congratulations. But I know that none of my Twitter followers are in Bitcoin. By the way, if you like Formula One, I think if you like Formula One, I love this tweet. So Charles Leclerc, obviously he's not winning, so he visits an orphanage, and it says, it's heartbreaking to look into the sad, hopeless eyes, said one of the kids. That's at the orphanage. That's good, eh? I mean, it's like dark, but it's good. It's like a dark humor. Anyway, let's go back to it. Let's go back to not so dark, less dark, light mode. Okay, so the next thing we are looking at is we're looking at the others against BTC chart. Now you can see that if you look at this chart, the others BTC is very much here at a turning point, and we could get the others versus BTC actually going up. So keep your eyes on that others versus BTC chart. That's the ratio of the other altcoins, the altcoins less the top 10 divided by Bitcoin. That's another thing. But the other chart that you have to look at is you have to look at the ETH BTC chart, because that is the key to the alt season. So again, with the ETH chart, we have broken down, and it does look like it's on the up. But watch this. It looks like it's printing a bull flag over here. So let's watch how this consolidation actually lands up happening. There is a bullish divergence in the others versus BTC, the same chart that we spoke about before. So all these signs are pointing to the fact that very much we actually could be at the beginning of an altcoin run. And we just need a little bit more confidence in Bitcoin. And if we get a little bit more confidence in this market, then we actually go on a massive altcoin run. And you can see it over here. So you can see that this is the leverage ratio of Bitcoin versus all the others, right? And when this touches here, then it usually means a top. And we're nowhere near the top here. So you can see this could be the beginning of one of those runs. So that is effectively the altcoin situation. I do believe that we actually are in the early beginnings of an altcoin outperforming Bitcoin cycle. I think that if we carry on just a little bit more, we're really gonna get there. I also think that there could be a slight pullback just because of the golden cross thing, but don't panic if it actually happens there. Maybe it's a 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10% pullback. We're still above 100K if it happens, and that's a good place, a very, very, very good place for us to be. Okay, let's talk about this. This is bad. This was a hack of CETUS. So CETUS, which is the biggest exchange on 𝗬cie, was actually hacked. Now, initial indications say that the hack was about $250 million, which is a massive, massive, massive number. $250 million hacked. I read a post-mortem report. I'm actually going to just check if there's anything else here. Here we go. So CETUS now say that alert announcement. There was an incident detected on our protocol and our smart contract has been paused temporarily for safety. The team is investigating the incident. After investigation, there was an incident detected, blah, 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 blah. Long story short, so they got, CETUS was hacked. They were hacked for about $250 million that we actually know about. They drained all the liquidity pools. And you can see that a lot of tokens on CETUS actually went down to crazy levels because the hacker started to sell all these tokens. Okay, so that's what happened again. So, I mean, look, very bad, but there were massive trading opportunities here if you got the information on time. So if you got the information on time, and this brings me to something that I want to talk to you about, which is a new kind of trading that we're starting to encourage people to do. Certain traders we're encouraging people to do. What you would have noticed is if you look at the new newsroom here, you've noticed that the new newsroom actually has trade buttons. And the reason why that happens is so that you can actually trade news when it actually happens. So the news happens, you can quickly see what's happening to the bubbles. You just go into live bubbles and you can actually see what's happening to the bubble in real time. And then you can actually start trading directly from this news terminal. So you can actually see this is a web-based newsroom where you can actually land up starting to trade. Anyway, so there were a lot of opportunities. Now the question is whether or not you managed to catch those opportunities. For those of you that didn't, I actually want to spend a little bit of time just talking a little bit about our frontrunners group. And the reason why I want to talk about it specifically now is because these guys absolutely nailed the entire trade. And the reason why they managed to nail the entire trade, it wasn't coincidental. And I want to show you the formula here. So a lot of people say to me, oh, you got this call group, it's called frontrunners. Frontrunners is not a call group. Frontrunners is a group where there are 10 researchers living and dropping research full-time before it actually gets to the show. On top of that, there is a news bot. So you've got a breaking news bot. Let me just quickly find you the breaking news bot. Yeah, so you've got a breaking news bot which breaks news quicker than anything that you've ever seen. And the reason why it breaks the news quicker than you've ever seen is because we've written bots that bring you the news faster than anybody else. Now, when that happens, that is when you can actually land up making a lot of money. So you've got a breaking news bot, you've got 10 researchers actually working here, and then you've got a whole lot of contributors, traders, all breaking down their thesis. Like, for example, here's like the thesis that was broken by one of the things around CETUS and CETUS currently being done. Feels wrong, got to make money on these things, and basically landed up trading it. Also, yesterday, one of our researchers in there broke a thing on Bluefin, which is the biggest DEX on 𝗬cie. And I just want to show you what actually happened to Bluefin. Bluefin. Yeah, Bluefin USDT. Just have a look at it's up 30% today. It's up 30% today on that news. So for those of you who think that this is a call group, it's absolutely not. On top of that, I have my own channel here. I leave daily, midday voice notes all the time for the community because I can't jump and I can't do a show every time something happens. And so what I do is I just drop voice notes into the community here and I interact with the community all the time. We've got meme coin channels, we've got AI agent channels, we've got internet capital market channels, everything happening in this thing. Now, guys, in markets like this, you got to do like a cost benefit calculation and say to yourself, if I'm part of a group like this, can I make more than it actually costs me? And that's exactly what I'm inviting you guys to do. I'm inviting you guys to join Frontrunners for 1 month. Test if you land up making more money than you're actually investing. And if you do, stay. And if you don't, then leave and I'll give you back your money. It's as simple as that. Check it out. Try it out for 1 month. I know for some people who maybe thought it was a call group, it's not a call group. It's a full suite of products with news bots, with charting, with daily technical analysis, with 10 analysts basically in your pocket. You can ask them questions. You can ask me direct questions. It all happens inside Frontrunners. And the truth is, as Bangkok Bird says, it's an amazing, amazing, amazing community. And I mean, guys, the guys are making tons of cash from amazing events. Just, I mean, the 𝗬cie event must have been one of our highest generating events in the last couple of months. Anyway, so that is, I think you guys go and have a look at it. As I said, there's a link below. Use that link, and if you're unhappy in a month, well, then you're happy to think. Someone says, I feel comforted by Jeet's soothing voice notes. I'll leave you a personal voice note today. I'll leave you a personal one today. Okay. Let's quickly look at the markets because we're here and the markets are green. I mean, everything's up. It's just a shit show. Everything's up. Everything is up. I think 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 was also called yesterday. 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 was also called yesterday in thing, also up 32% today. That was also in Frontrunners. I know this because I actually took the trade. 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 is absolutely on a tear. It's got a $1 billion FDV. I actually think that this one's actually just started, to be honest, because if they actually get it right, they're competing with like Stellar Lumens and XRP. I mean, this could be absolutely amazing. Someone said, what happened to your AI discussions? Well, you know, Pizza Day and Bitcoin Day did it, but we will do AI. Maybe we'll do it tomorrow. I don't know. We'll do it. We will definitely do AI. Maybe I'll even come on the weekend and do an AI show for you guys on the weekend. But if it's on the weekend, it'll be on Crypto Live, which is the other channel. It won't be on this channel. Let's actually look at what else is happening. All right. Yeah. Launchcoin might be a good buying opportunity today. I think I might actually take a little dip into Launchcoin. All right, chaps, listen, it's been amazing to be here with you on Pizza Day, on All-Time High Day. Is there another piece of pizza by any chance? Can I have one, please? So on Pizza Day, on All-Time High Day, on Golden Cross Day, on David's birthday. David is our biz dev guy. Davey, it's his birthday. I'll see you guys again tomorrow. Until then, happy Pizza Day and trade well, my friends.